Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the technique scraping hoof and some of the more important principles, rules, theories, concepts, and strategies of this technique. Now, before we actually get into the technique itself, let's talk about a peculiarity that exists in some of the self-defense techniques, and that is an emphasis on category completion. So what does that mean? What that means is some of the techniques show you left and right sides built into them as options. But what does that mean in reference to the technique? It means that it's showing you that you could do either the left or the right side interchangeably, and it doesn't really affect the technique that much. So because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to use a formulation equation, and we're going to use it in a very specific way. What we're going to do is we're going to de-emphasize that category completion stuff and instead use deleting in order to just emphasize one side. And then since we're doing that, what we're also going to do is we're going to suffix the technique with a standard extension, one that fits perfectly well with the end of this technique. So let's get into the ideal phase, or the beginning of this technique. This technique is going to be using category completion in a different way. In this way, what it's going to be doing is going to make the assumption that you're lower and that you are coming up with your opponent. So then what we're going to be doing with that, we're showing you how to hit with the head. We're showing you how to hit with a headbutt, and we're going to show you how to do it on a vertical plane. So what's going to happen here is we're going to come up and we're going to do a vertical headbutt with the crown, not the back of the head. So there's another piece that's going on here, which is what's going on with the arms. It's one thing to use gravitational opposition to do the hit, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be accentuating that by either pinning the hands to make them not move back, or the better way to do it is to actually push the hands down and do a frictional pull or opposing forces in order to pull them into that headbutt. Okay, now here's where things start getting interesting. What we're going to do is we're basically going to pick up our foot and stomp on their foot. But there's a problem. The problem that arises there is economy of motion. I don't want to make a cock a separate motion. So what do I want to do? What I want to do is I want to use that cocking of my foot for doing something. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit, then I want to hit, and then I want to stomp. Okay, let's get into the details of that. So I want to hit this opponent. And I want to hit him with the hardest part of my foot, which is the heel. But I don't really have proper alignment here. So how do I get proper alignment? So what do? Is I take the fact that I have this arm pinned and I use contact manipulation with my realignment of my strike. So notice what just happened here. What I did is I forced this opponent onto their left leg. Why did I do that? Because when I do this hit, what I want to do is I'll be able to hit effectively, getting the proper alignment with their weight on it, for the fact that we may be able to fully destabilize them. So what does that mean? If I do this hit and I take this leg out, they may fall. So then what can I do? I can then take the fact that I had this cock, and now I can use it in order to get to the stomp. Okay? Very good. But what if they didn't? Chances are you're not going to be able to break out that leg. You might be able to, but what happens if you didn't? So we already did this alignment. We did this hit. Now, if you notice, we did a vertical, not making a cock a separate motion. Now we're going to do it through horizontal. How? Because of the fact that if I'm here and I want to do the stomp, if you notice, I don't really have proper alignment for the stomp. So I need to create that proper alignment. And then do the proper alignment would be to move my foot to the side. So why waste it? Just like we did at the beginning. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kick out to that right leg. And then we're going to do the stomp, which is really good. But one thing that we're adding to this is we want to maintain that friction on the opponent. Just like we did the frictions with the arms, we're now showing you the frictions with the foot. And that foot is going to be sliding down the shin, scraping, and then doing that stomp. Now, if you notice, we're barefoot, so friction isn't as good as it could be. But imagine I'm wearing sneakers or dress shoes or something like that, and I do the scrape. That makes it far more effective as we get into the stomp. Now, if you notice the way I did this stomp, I did something incorrect. I didn't transfer my weight. Okay, so what does that mean? That means I'm only relying upon the muscles of my leg in order to do the stomp. The way to enhance it, kind of like what we did with this beginning piece where I'm pulling them off balance, what I want to do is I want to transfer my weight across as I get to this stomp. Now keep in mind the rule with stomps is that you're supposed to be 3 times the height of what it is you're stomping. So if you look at the knee, that's why we're hitting to the inside of the knee here, so that we maintain that height so that we can get that proper weight for transfer into our stomp. Now, If we were to stick with the ideal phase, we would be doing the second side. But as we said earlier, we're not going to be doing that. So instead, what we're going to be doing is a standard extension. So I'm going to get back to this position because this describes a standard extension. It can be done anytime you and the opponent are facing the same direction and they're behind you. So in this case, what are we going to do? So the standard extension starts out very similar to what we did with this contact manipulation here, where we start destabilizing the opponent. But we're going to do the destabilization through different means. In this case, through this buckle, where we actually start destabilizing the opponent. Now, we can fully take this opponent to the floor by taking our right foot across here and then using this kind of like a grab and a push at the same time in order to take him to the floor. Now, if you'll notice, we're very similar to the position we were earlier, where I had done this stomp here and then fell to the ground and stomped. Or instead, I'm in this position, but it's basically the same thing. I can gauge my distance between me and my opponent in order to effectively stomp them wherever I want and however I want. And then from this piece, we cross up and cover as we see fit. Up. So now that we've talked through the technique, let's do a slow demonstration so that you can see it being executed. Up. Hope this video helps you understand the American Kenpo system just a little bit better. Thank you very much.